7 nannies had come and gone, each leaving with the same excuse that caring for the billionaire's only son was simply too much to handle. The boy, quiet and deeply misunderstood, lived in his own world, his autism making it hard for anyone to reach him. The mansion, though filled with luxury, echoed with silence and frustration. Each nanny had walked away, shaking their head, convinced they had failed. For the father, who built an empire with sharp decisions and endless determination, this was the one challenge money could not solve. He watched his son day after day, heart heavy, wondering if he would ever truly connect with him. His staff avoided the child, whispering doubts behind closed doors, believing no one could ever get through to him. The billionaire's wealth had brought him everything except the bond he wanted most. Then, in the most unexpected moment, something shifted. As the new maid quietly entered the grand hall, carrying nothing but her gentle smile and calm presence, the boy did something no one had ever seen before. Without a word, he left his toys behind, stood up, and began to walk toward her. The billionaire froze, unable to believe his eyes. Was this the breakthrough he had been waiting for? The room fell silent as the boy moved closer to the maid, his small steps echoing louder than any words. Everyone in the mansion had grown used to his distance, his silence, and his refusal to engage with anyone. But now, with the 7th nanny gone and hope nearly lost, the billionaire found himself watching a scene he could not explain. The maid, a woman who had only recently joined the staff, did not flinch or force a smile. She simply knelt down, her eyes soft and patient, as if she had known the child far longer than a few days. The father's mind raced. Who was this woman, and why was his son responding to her in a way he never had with professionals, teachers, or caregivers? Money had always been his solution. He had hired the best therapists, the most highly recommended nannies, each with polished resumes and glowing references. And yet, one by one, they had failed. His wealth could buy expertise, but it had not been able to buy trust. Now, in this quiet moment, he saw his son's hands slowly reaching out. His chest tightened, torn between disbelief and curiosity. Could it be that this ordinary maid carried the key everyone else had missed? The billionaire's thoughts churned as he watched the unlikely bond unfold. His staff exchanged uncertain glances, whispering about how the boy had never made such a gesture before. Some doubted it would last, insisting it was a coincidence, while others quietly wondered if the maid had a gift that none of the trained experts possessed. But the father's pride made him uneasy. He had spent millions on the finest specialists, and now this simple woman, with no certificates to her name, seemed to succeed where they had all failed. The maid herself remained calm, moving gently, never overwhelming the child. She didn't force conversation or touch. Instead, she allowed the boy to set the pace. Her patience contrasted with the rushed efforts of those before her, and slowly, a fragile thread of trust began forming. Yet, in the shadows of the mansion, jealousy brewed. Some of the staff felt threatened, worried that the maid's sudden importance might change their own standing in the household. Meanwhile, the billionaire's business partners pressed him with urgent matters, warning that his distracted focus could cost him dearly in negotiations. But his mind was no longer on profits or deals. It was fixed on the mystery unfolding at home. Why had his son chosen her, and what did it mean for the future? The nights in the mansion grew heavier, filled with an unspoken tension. The billionaire noticed how his son began seeking the maid's presence more and more, quietly sitting beside her as she folded laundry or humming along when she softly sang in the kitchen. It was small, almost fragile progress, but to the father it felt like a miracle slowly taking shape. Yet, the more his son drifted toward her, the more unsettled he became. Was this woman truly the answer he had been searching for, or was he placing too much hope in a fleeting connection? Rumors spread through the household, some saying the maid had a secret past, others questioning why the boy had chosen her and no one else. The billionaire tried to ignore the whispers, but late at night, doubt crept into his mind. He began to wonder if fate had placed her there, or if he was being tested in ways he could not understand. Business pressures mounted, his empire demanding choices that could not wait, yet every call and meeting blurred behind the image of his son's small hand resting against the maid's. For the first time in years, the billionaire felt powerless, caught between protecting his fortune and unraveling the fragile mystery that could change his family forever. Just as the billionaire thought he had begun to understand the strange bond between his son and the maid, an unexpected twist shook the fragile balance. One evening, after a tense day of business meetings, he returned home to find his son laughing, a sound so rare it stopped him in his tracks. The boy wasn't with his toys or in his room. He was in the kitchen, sitting beside the maid, listening intently as she told him a story. It was the first time the billionaire had seen his child respond with such joy, but what startled him even more was the story itself. She was describing places and moments from her own childhood, details that felt oddly familiar. Later that night, while reviewing old documents, the billionaire discovered something unsettling. A name connected to her past appeared in records tied to his own family, a history he thought was long buried. Questions rushed through his mind. Was her presence in the mansion truly coincidence, or had she known more about him all along? As whispers among the staff grew louder and his business rivals circled closer, the billionaire realized he wasn't just fighting to understand his son's progress. He was caught in a deeper mystery that could either heal his family or shatter it completely. The billionaire could no longer ignore the truth pressing in on him. Determined to uncover the maid's intentions, he confronted her one evening in the grand hall. His voice was steady but sharp, demanding to know who she really was and why his son trusted her when no one else could. The staff gathered quietly at the edges, holding their breath. The maid, however, did not flinch. She spoke calmly, revealing that years ago, before she ever entered his mansion, she had cared for children with special needs in a small community center that had once been funded by his company. She had never mentioned it because she didn't want his gratitude or his money, only the chance to work honestly. The billionaire felt a wave of shame. All his wealth, all his resources, had blinded him from seeing what his son truly needed: patience, humility, and human connection. The boy, sensing the tension, walked forward and placed his small hand into his father's. For the first time, the billionaire didn't feel distant from his child, he felt present. But just as relief washed over him, the maid added something he didn't expect. She knew his late wife, years before he became wealthy, and promised her she would one day help their child. The billionaire froze, realizing fate had returned someone he never thought would find her way back. The revelation left the billionaire silent, his mind replaying memories of his late wife and the promises she once made about their child. It struck him that the maid had not entered his home by chance, she was fulfilling a quiet vow, one rooted in love and compassion that no amount of money could ever buy. For years, he had believed wealth could solve everything, but in this moment he finally understood that the answers had been much simpler: patience, trust, and genuine care. The staff, once doubtful and divided, began to see the maid in a new light. Their whispers faded into respect as they watched the boy grow calmer, more willing to interact, and even begin speaking in short phrases. What 7 nannies, countless doctors, and endless resources could not achieve was now unfolding naturally through kindness. The billionaire also found himself changing. Meetings and profits no longer held the same weight when compared to hearing his son laugh or watching him connect with the world around him. He realized that the maid's presence had not only transformed his child's life but had also softened his own heart. In the end, the mansion was no longer filled with silence, it was filled with hope, proving that true wealth lies in love, not fortune.